Good day. My name is Laura Jacob. I'm the assistant principal at McGuffey Middle School, and this presentation is on cyberbullying. The reason for this presentation being in an audio mode and a visual mode and not in a synchronous manner was because we had the parent-teacher collaborative, and so one way that we could span out and offer the information to a variety of parents, no matter the time, place, or space, one way we can do that is by doing it this way and recording the video. So I'm going to go through the presentation, and please know that some parts of the presentation are going to be a little bit different in this mode as opposed to if we would have done it in a face-to-face manner. So the opportunity for discussions synchronously obviously is not there in this manner. So it'll be mostly the content, but then I'll also give you an overview as far as the resources that you have available. The goals of this session are to first identify the definition of cyberbullying, identify the signs when a child is being bullied or possibly when they're being a bully. And those will be interesting signs that you may see with your child. Identify the 4 types of cyberbullying and also how to respond to them. Identify the strategies for preventing and intervening with cyberbullying, both as a parent as well as extending with the school. And we're also going to provide you with some current sites or locations that are most common with cyberbullying instances online. The first thing is to look at the statistics as you see here. When it comes to cyberbullying, 85% of the parents of youth in the ages of 13 to 17 report that their child has a social networking account. Of that, we have 43% of teens between that age range also report that they've experienced some sort of cyberbullying. So we're pretty darn close to half of teens have reported that they have experienced some sort of cyberbullying. More girls than boys are cyberbullies. They're looking at 59% of girls and 41% of boys. And the reasons that cyberbullies say that they're engaged in cyberbullying is A, to show off to friends, to be mean, to embarrass them, for fun or entertainment, because they deserved it, or to get back at someone. Now when you look at this list, the most important one, or the highest rate as far as the one that students have most highly reported reasons why they're cyberbullies, is to get back at someone. So that's the key one when we look at cyberbullying and helping in understanding cyberbullying. Now, the first key component is to look at the definition of cyberbullying. It has 4 components to it that help make it up. The first overall component is located here up at the top. Cyberbullying, by definition, involves the use of information and communication technology, so some sort of information and communication technology, whether it be the computer, cell phone, an iPad, any type of that device, to support deliberate, repeated, and hostile behavior by an individual or a group that is intended to harm others. Now, it involves 2 components of which I want to highlight. The first one is an imbalance of power. With this, when it comes to cyberbullying as well as with bullying overall, it must involve an imbalance of power where the individual is using physical strength, access to embarrassing information, or popularity to control or harm others. The second major component is repetition. Bullying is not just one instance. Bullying is a repeated instance. So bullying behaviors happen more than once, or they have the potential to happen more than once. Now, when you look at bullying, that includes actions such as making threats, spreading rumors, attacking somebody physically or verbally, and excluding someone from a group on purpose. Many of these components, as listed down here in this third area, is that many of these can happen both online as well as in a face-to-face manner. So this section is looking at specifically with bullying overall, but cyberbullying, you can still make threats, you can still spread rumors, you can still attack somebody verbally in a cyber sense. Now, what are some of the signs that a child is being bullied, or possibly that a child is being a bully? Some of the research indicates that if a student or a child complains of frequent headaches, saying they wake up in the morning that they have stomach aches, that they're feeling sick, or they're possibly faking an illness, that's a sign that the child could possibly be bullied. And again, that would be a repeated instance that we would see. Changes in eating habits are also commonly reported. Difficulty sleeping or frequent nightmares of children. If you notice a decline in the child's grades, or if they have a sudden loss of interest in schoolwork or not wanting to go home, that could be an instance of the child being bullied at school. If they have a sudden loss of friends, or if they're possibly avoiding social situations, they're remaining close to themselves and not going into a social realm. And also, obviously, self-destructive behaviors, such as possibly running away from home, harming themselves, or even talking about suicide, are immediate instances that you want to take action and speak with your child, obviously, and involve others to help support your child. Now, signs on the other side of a child possibly being a bully is if they're getting into physical or verbal fights often, if they have friends who also bully others, that maybe you've seen that happen before, are becoming increasingly aggressive children, if you have frequent calls from the principal about various instances, and possibly maybe you're noticing a pattern with that child, with your child. Maybe they come home and have an unexplained large amount of money, or possibly new belongings that they're getting hold of. Other children that are being bullies many times blame others and don't take responsibility for the actions that they have. And commonly they're very competitive and they worry about their reputation or their popularity. Now we're going to talk about the 4 different types of cyberbullies. And remember, this is specifically with cyberbullies in an online sense or in a texting medium. The first one is the vengeful angel. Typically this group of cyberbullies, they don't see themselves as a bully. They see themselves as protecting others and righting others wrong. So they like to take up the opportunity to go after the bad guy, when actually what they're doing is they're becoming bullies and they're making it much worse. One way to take care of and address it with this group is they need to know that they can't take justice into their own hands, that the actions that they are doing are actually getting worse and making the situation worse. So one way to help this group of children is to give them outlets to report bullying, tell them the options that they have when it comes to reporting bullying, and many times that helps solve the problem. The next group of cyberbullies, and probably a very popular one, on the right-hand side of the picture is from the group Anonymous, which is a very popular group of cyberbullies that we would fall into the category of revenge of the nerds. They feel power because of their tech skills, and they use it, unfortunately, in a very negative way. They want a reaction. Their intention is to embarrass or to frighten individuals. And so they use their skills that they have in technology in order to do that. The key thing with this group is not to have an extreme reaction, because that's what they're looking for. They want to see that extreme reaction, but they don't want anybody to know that it was them. As you can tell from the picture there, that's the very popular group Anonymous that does very often look for those extreme reactions. Also, with this group, they need to have an outlet for their tech skills, and they need to learn how to use them in a very positive sense. With this group, they're using them in a negative sense, and so we want to turn that around into positive ways to use their technology skills. The third group, and probably the most popularized in pop culture, would be the Mean Girls group. Now, with this group, it's pretty interesting because this group is typically bored. It's a bored group of girls together that are looking for some sort of entertainment. What they do is they get together in a group in one room. So it's kind of a mix when it comes to the cyberbullying sense, because the girls are face-to-face as a group, but then they're cyberbullying somebody in an online or texting manner. They require a face-to-face audience. So the Mean Girls group do not do it alone. They require others to kind of urge them on and encourage them to post mean things, to take inappropriate pictures and comment on them. So they're looking for the reactions of others in order to act this way. So the key way to address this group of girls is to get rid of their loss of power when it comes to the cyberbullying sense. And also call them on it and call them to be upstanders, as we teach the children, to be that better bystander and not just look on, but actually be the better person. And also to get rid of that entertainment value that they get out of posting inappropriate things and mean things. And lastly, the last group is the inadvertent bully. This group is common when it comes to video games. They pretend to be tough online or in role-playing games. They quickly respond without thinking, and then they'll back it up by saying, oh, it was a joke, I didn't mean it, I was just joking around. And so commonly they'll make comments, they'll post things online, or they'll post things through video games with other people and then not actually, so to speak, mean it. But they need to be aware that how their friends are responding to their jokes is negative, that they are being a bully because of how they're quote-unquote joking around. And they need to learn strategies prior to posting things immediately. These are the ones that probably are the quickest ones to post inappropriate comments and not think about it in a second sense. Some of the cyberbullying mediums that we have, your most popularized ones right now are obviously Facebook and Twitter because they get a lot of media attention. However, some other ones that I want to highlight you with are Snapchat. Snapchat is this icon right here. What Snapchat is it allows students or anyone, any user, to take a really short video, it's about 6-7 seconds long, of absolutely anything and send it to other people that are part of Snapchat. And once that other person receives it, they only get to view it once and then it disappears. So there's where the challenge lies, is that the individual is not able to get that video back. So you could watch that video once and then it disappears off of your phone and you can't get it back. So many children are using that as a bullying medium and sending Snapchat videos back and forth to one another because you can't then show that video to an adult or claim it. Now, Snapchat does have some options as far as reporting that and if it becomes a legal issue, but that's a very interesting medium that children are using, and unfortunately some children are using in a negative way. Another one is ask.fm, and that's that icon down there. This app and online component is pretty interesting because it's taking all of the social media contacts that anybody has, and you answer or ask questions, and that's all it is. It's all through asking questions or answering questions about yourself. And so unfortunately, some people can post very inappropriate responses to questions, and it can also be anonymous. So you can respond to any question that is posted on an individual and have it be anonymous. So the children are reading these anonymous posts, and if some are negative, obviously it's really bringing them down, and anybody can post it in an anonymous sense. So that's another one of caution that we focus on with children. Other mediums are obviously via text message, but we teach children that there are ways that they can block or not permit other people to text message them. Vine is a version of a video as well with Twitter. And then also MySpace is still a very popular one for children, especially in the middle school group with cyberbullying. Now, ways as a parent that you can prevent cyberbullying, the key component is to open the lines of communication and talk with your child about bullying and cyberbullying. Usually it's not as effective if you sit them down and talk to them one-on-one in this quiet, private conversation, but an easy way to open those lines of communication is to maybe ask them some questions, maybe as you're making dinner or as you're sitting down to dinner, or maybe you're taking a walk with your child, and just don't make it as confrontational as opposed to just having a conversation with your child. And always open those lines of communication before possibly the issue would come up, and that'll make them feel much more comfortable to come to you and talk to you. Another big thing for parents is to make sure that you keep the computer and that screen time in a common place in the house. Now, I know that this is challenging now that children do have their own screen time devices, so to speak, with iPods, iPhones, iPads, but having that common place in the house where everyone is connected is going to allow you to better monitor how they're using that screen time and making sure that it's positive. There's also obviously a variety of ways that you can monitor your child's screen time, that you have make sure that you have access of your child's online accounts, and make sure that you use filtering software on your computer. It's to allow children not to get viruses, to also not have them go to inappropriate sites, but you're able to set a variety of parental controls on your apps. Any type of device, whether you have an Android device, an iPhone, an iPod, you can set up those parental controls. And also teach your children to critically analyze all types of media as things come up, so that they don't take it personal every single time they see comments posted. Some common text messages. One of the challenges that parents have is that, yeah, maybe your computer time is all in a central location, so maybe it's in the living room and everyone is typing or working on their homework, but there's some common texting language that children use to kind of inform one another as far as what's going on. And so I wanted to quiz the parents on this one. PAW, first of all, stands for parents are watching. So if you have a child that's texting to another one, PAW, they're indicating to them, hey, my parents are watching. Another one, NP, stands for nosy parents. To tie with that, POS doesn't sound as bad as maybe you might think, but it's parents over the shoulder, so indicating that their parents are watching over their shoulder. PM indicates to private message, one of them. And lastly, probably the most disturbing, NIFOC, and we'll get into sexting in just a minute, but it stands for naked in front of computer. And that unfortunately is a very common one. Now, I would like to show you some resources that we have available, and the first one is on the Parent-Teacher Collaborative. And so I would like to bring that website up for you to show you some of the resources that we've provided for you. So give me 1 second. And here you should see the Parent-Teacher Collaborative website. And in order to get all of the resources that we have listed for you, scroll down on the right-hand side and you'll see the Stop Cyberbullying icon. When you click on that, the presentation file that you just watched is listed there. All of the handouts that I'm going to talk about in just a minute are provided there. Also some options on how to report violations, as well as information for Facebook and Twitter on reporting and bullying behavior, or all those links are listed there for you. And then we talked about parental controls. I have listed for you the support for iTunes, for filtering software options, iOS 7 parental controls that works for the iPod, the iPhone, and the iPad, and also how to set up parental controls for any Android device that you have. And please feel free to contact us at the school for any challenges that you may have. Now, some other resources that we provide for you are, this first is is the top 10 tips for parents on responding to cyberbullying. And this gives you some tips on ways that you can talk with your child and also talk with us, whether it's at a point that you need to contact the police or if it's at a point that deals with the school and contacting us. Those are ways to respond with cyberbullying. We talked about making sure that you talk to your children about cyberbullying and you ask them questions. And I'm going to give you a list of some possible questions that you can ask your children, and I'll bring it up in just a minute. This worksheet gives you questions that you can ask your children about technology. It gives you lists for general technology questions, but also cyberbullying questions to help children better have that conversation. So if you're not quite sure where to start as far as having that conversation with children, this sheet does a really good job at talking to you, giving you strategies and questions that you can ask your children so that you can open those lines of communication. And then lastly, we've talked about the naked in front of the computer text. So I wanted to give you some information about sexting. And I have a sheet here, a sexting fact sheet for you as parents, ways that sexting is occurring and also ways to hopefully prevent it. Unfortunately, it is on the rise, and unfortunately it is happening beginning at the middle school level and moving up. So we wanted to provide you with some information about sexting, what occurs, what does it mean, and how can we deal with it. So again, anything that we can do for you at the school level, we are here. Please feel free to contact the school if you're having some challenging situations or if you're not sure how to deal with something. Please know that we are here at the schools to help you out. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me specifically concerning this presentation. Thank you very much for watching.